my ninjas. I hope y'all are having a good day today, man. Today is Saturday, May 24th, and I have to say that I'm having a blessed day. I cannot complain. Funny enough, I'm actually just coming out of a small rough patch at work myself, and I felt like it was the perfect time to fire up the camera and talk about this because this is something I wanted to talk about. This is more so really a list of 5 things that I do whenever I find myself in a rough patch that has helped me out of numerous rough patches or ruts or kind of small seasons of depression where I was in a negative spiral and things were just not going good. So I actually want to give 2 honorable mentions before we get started. The first one would be time. Obviously, you've probably heard that before, but even though it's cliche, it's very true. Sometimes you're just too close to the situation to where you need to kind of allow yourself time to see the full scope of what's going on. Um, and or sometimes you have to either wait for God or the universe to put people or things in your path that will help you change your energy and change your situation and get from a negative spiral to a positive spiral. But yeah, time being the first honorable mention, and I'd say the second one being music. Um, Preferably some good, like instrumental music, ambient music, something like that. Um, Something basically that will kind of, again, shift your mood. Um, it's good to not, because what I would do back in the day when I'd be in a negative spiral is like listen to negative whatever I was listening to. So if I was going through a breakup, I'd be listening to something and like in relation to that, and kind of basically just feeding into the sadness or to the negative feeling that I'm feeling. And I think it's Brandon Carter, one of my online mentors. He's always talking about the importance of not being negative. Even if you can't force yourself to be positive, because sometimes that's a little unrealistic if your situation or your environment isn't allowing that. Um, then it's hard to force yourself to be positive, but at least be neutral if you can't be positive. But definitely don't be negative. So I think music is a good way to kind of make sure that you can quickly shift your energy. And the first actual step that I would say that you can take is cleaning yourself. Now, this is a little funny, but just I would notice when I would be going through kind of negative spirals. One of the first things that I would notice is just like my general hygiene. I'd have like maybe buildup on my tongue, or I'm just ungroomed. And one of the first things that would always help me is just kind of like grooming myself, whether it's shaving, brushing my teeth, simply taking a shower, literally like cleaning myself. Your image or your self image, especially when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, is important. So I think that one of the quickest ways to kind of shift your energy, and then also, especially after brushing your teeth in particular, I just feel like I just feel a little better after brushing my teeth. I don't know, not just having like a hot breath. Um, but that's the first thing that I would say is an actionable step that you can take. The second thing being piggybacking off of that, cleaning your environment. So um, basically, just making sure if you're limited to your space, like if you're in a roommate situation, it's just your room, and then maybe part of the living room or what have you, or if you have your own house or apartment. Either way, you need to make sure that your environment is dress right, dress as Soul says, one of my mentors. I think that's a military thing, but anyway, just making sure your environment is put together and clean. I don't think I need to elaborate much more than that. Um, I would say the next thing, the third thing being some form of active meditation. So I like to go on walks, or at least I try to go on walks when, especially in those times. Um, but some form of cardio, even like stretching, yoga, something like that. Um, I'd say some people might even say driving your car or riding a motorcycle or something. Something preferably in nature, though. Um, for first of all, just the nature itself, just being outside and fresh air would help. But then also doing something that's an active thing that you have to be focused on, but you can also be passively thinking in the background and letting your mind kind of run. I think that that is something that's very helpful for me when I've been in those situations. Um, and then I'd say number four, getting into the nitty gritty of it, I'd say breaking down whatever the problem is into its most simple form. So, kind of like getting to the root of what the issue is. Sometimes we can make like a mountain out of our problems, and it's good when we can break it down into actionable steps so that we can just start chipping away at those small tasks instead of just being overwhelmed by the problem and kind of throwing our hands up and just wallowing in the situation. Um, you know, that's just not a good thing to obviously do. And I'm actually an overthinker personally, so I've suffered from analysis paralysis for a while with different situations, but action is always the elixir. So I was gonna say, first breaking down the problem, and then making a plan, an actual plan. And I'd say the fifth step is really just action. So just doing anything towards whatever that plan was that you just made, whether it's learning more about it, whether it's physically getting a pen and paper and writing it down, or making a note, a list of things that you need to change. Um, and then I kind of say alongside that would be gratitude. So even if you are at the moment confused as to where you're even going, so you haven't even fully developed a plan yet, the first thing that I would say you can do after you've simplified the problem and broken it down to its root is just be grateful for where you're at, in the sense of be grateful for what you have. So I don't care if you have to break it down to being grateful for having all five of your senses and having all of your limbs, that's something to be grateful for because somebody literally woke up this morning and didn't have all five senses or all of their limbs. They're missing something. So it's really good to have the attitude of gratitude. And I wanted to also throw in here, Myron Golden has a video. I think it's called "Every Day Is Thanksgiving," or something along those lines. But it's a video about gratitude, and I definitely recommend watching that video because obviously not sponsored or anything like that. But that's just a video that really, because I've seen other videos on gratitude, but that one really kind of shifted my perspective, and I just feel like I think about it in a slightly different way after watching that video. But also, he's just a good guy to watch when it comes to making money and stuff in general. So I would definitely recommend watching that. But did I forget anything? I don't think I forgot anything. So yeah, man, I appreciate you watching the video. And like I said, I'm not an expert or like I alluded to, I'm not an expert or anything at this, but I have been in my share of rough patches in the past, and I feel like I've gotten pretty proficient at getting myself out of them. So um, I appreciate y'all watching the video, and I actually do have another video that's going to be kind of piggybacking off of this one that I'm going to probably drop right after this. But I will see y'all on that video, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, man.